Welcome back to an episode of Tea Time at PhyziX. Today we have Kerri Miller, local Feng Shui and energy practitioner from Massachusetts. And you've been studying the art of Feng Shui since 2004, and you also released a book called Feel Better, Flow Better. So Feng Shui for Inspired Living in 2016.
Yep.
All right, so let's go straight into it. So what got you into Feng Shui?
Well, I actually stumbled across it by reading a book, and I had just bought a condo. So I was in the decorating phase, paying attention to setting up my space intentionally. I was also feeling really stuck in my life, and I happened to be in the bookstore, and I had kind of wandered through the self-help section looking for ways to fix my life. And then I wandered over to the home design area, and that's where I found some books on Feng Shui. And I pulled them out and I was looking at them and started to flip through them and realized that this was a tool that you could use to do both. Like, you could intentionally design your space, and by shifting what was going on in your environment, you could shift your life. And so I practiced some of what I read, and my life truly shifted, and I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, so what's going on in your life, and what's the difference after you apply some of the techniques that you learned? And what were those techniques, if you remember? What were the most powerful ones?
I started with using the Feng Shui Bagua map, which is basically an energy map to your space. And so I looked at the energy centers that are related to career. I was feeling very stuck in my career at the time. And so I looked at that part of my home, and I made some adjustments and changes, made sure that there wasn't any clutter there that was blocking things. And I started to place some intentional symbolism in that part of the home that was more symbolic of what I wanted to call in and create in my life. And then there were other areas that I worked on too. And literally within a year or so, I had quit my job and had made a plan to move across the country and study something completely different. So what it felt like was that the wrong doors closed and the right doors opened, and it happened effortlessly based on getting clear and setting up my space to support me.
Yeah. What were you doing before?
My corporate job was as a banquet and event manager, so I was working a lot of weekends, a lot of long hours. I was on my feet all the time. It was not very fulfilling in any way, and so I was definitely looking for a way out, but didn't know what that was. And I felt like I was trapped because I had to work and have the salary in order to pay for all the things that I wanted in life. So I found a different way.
Yeah, so Feng Shui is one of those things I think everyone might have heard about the word, but not really in tune about what it is. So I would like just for you to tell the audience, like, what does a space with poor Feng Shui, like, what would that feel like if you enter a space like that?
Yeah, so a lot of times it will feel very heavy and very stuck. Like, that's one side of it. It will you'll just feel the heaviness in the space. Other times it could feel very chaotic and frenetic, and when you walk in, you feel different. And I think that that's the important thing to pay attention to, is how you feel when you're in the space, because it will trigger different feelings. Like, you may feel kind of blah and depressed, or you may feel very anxious, and that's kind of giving you a clue to what's going on with the energy of the space. And I think typically we might blame it on, I feel anxious because I had too much coffee this morning, but if you pay attention to the underlying energies and the underlying way the space makes you feel, you'll identify that it's actually what's going on around you that is contributing to however you're feeling. So yeah, stuck, heavy, anxious, all those bad things. That's the negative Feng Shui.
Because I'm sure we all can relate when we enter a place and we can't pinpoint what it is, but we're like, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I remember back when I was really young, we moved into a one-bedroom apartment. I didn't have my own room, so I had like a mattress on the ground, and we just got to make it work. And my head was next to the door, and it just never felt right. I had to cover my head, and I just felt like kind of scared the whole time. And I never thought about it. I just thought I was just like a young boy, and I was just scared of everything. But it turns out maybe there's something to do with just the placement of the furnitures.
Exactly, yeah. And so it will be affecting you in ways that you don't know of. And to be in that situation for one night isn't a big deal, but to be there every night, hour after hour, day after day, having the energy influence you and your body and your nervous system in that way, it can start to have long-term effects with how much energy you have to give to your day-to-day life. And so that can be something to pay attention to.
Yeah. So what would like a place with great feng shui, like what would that feel like when you walk into a space like that?
Yeah, I would say that normally it would feel calm and peaceful. Like you've created a very good space here with that kind of energy. It's welcoming, like you want to come in, you want to stay longer. And it can even be energizing and inspiring. Like it gives you energy, it makes you want to be there. So yeah, it's activating.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I really like to look at like my physical space. Like if I'm home, I'm spending a lot of time at home, I'm spending a lot of time at work, and I'm just thinking, how can I create those environments where it is something that's going to be positive for me versus coming back to an environment that actually make things negative. So I love to be able to have things organized and clean.
Yeah.
And just having that alone allows me to get creative and actually work. Because before I work, I always have to like put things together. I'm not sure if you can relate to that.
I definitely can. I mean, your physical space is affecting you on so many levels. You will be visually distracted by things that are in your environment, but you're also energetically, it's taking up your energetic bandwidth in addition to that, because we are, we're energy, we're an energy body, but so aren't the inanimate objects around us. They each have their own energy, and if you imagine an energetic cord between you and everything that's in your environment, it's really pulling at you and draining you and distracting you, even if you're not consciously aware of it. And so we can make a big difference by calming down our space and being deliberate about what we're surrounding ourselves with.
Now, of course, we're a health and wellness business. So do you find that having a good feng shui practice affects someone's health in a physical way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the environment that you're in tells a story about you. And I can often walk into a client's home and know that there's somebody there who's dealing with a health challenge. And it's evident because you can see the medicines on different countertops. And the desk will be covered with correspondence from the doctors or medical bills. And there might be some devices or medical devices that are there for healing. And so it tells you that, what's going on with the people in the space. And I think the big thing to be aware of is that if you don't want to be in that story anymore, you're trying to heal yourself, you're trying to get healthy, you're trying to live differently, then diminishing the attention that those types of supports are getting is going to be important. You're obviously not going to throw away the crutches if you have a broken leg, but you can certainly put them away once you're in the healing place and getting stronger. You can go get them if you need them, but they don't have to be tucked in the corner, so you're seeing reminders of that, or that being in the frequency of that type of being unwell.
Right, that's so interesting. So what's like a simple tip that you can give for someone that they can do in their home if they're like trying to heal from like a physical ailment?
Absolutely, yeah. So that's so good. Like for sure, if if you've had a bunch of medicines, like you can take the medicines and put them in a basket and put them off to the side, and then maybe make the highlight a bowl of fresh fruit or a big bouquet of like healthy, vibrant flowers. It could even be something as simple as putting the knee brace away and putting the diagrams of the exercises the doctor gave you to do to strengthen yourself on the refrigerator, so you see that and you're reminded of doing the things to keep you healthy. So you're diminishing the negatives of the health challenges that you're going through, and you're encouraging health and healing by what you're eating or what you're doing and what you're seeing.
I love that. And one of the things you might not notice, because we haven't gone through the whole tour of the place, is that we don't have any anatomy posters up.
Yes, I did actually notice that.
Okay, yeah. And my whole reason behind it, because we know why you're here. You don't need to be reminded the whole time. So instead, we chose to have artwork instead, something a little bit more inspiring. So yeah, so when you were talking about that, it kind of triggers some of the, I guess, unconscious decisions that I've made in building the space. So I think that was pretty cool.
Well, I think that having seen your space, it really feels like a space that is dedicated to healing, not to treating sick people. So you're healing people, and that seems to be the goal. The energy of this space gives that off. So I think you've done a great job with that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are like the most common mistakes people make in their homes that you see that's like across the board? It's like everyone just stop doing this thing, and everyone's doing it.
There's two. I'll actually give you two because
Yeah.
the one thing that I see in this the modern world that we're in is that people don't use their front door very often. Our homes are really set up today so that we kind of drive in, park the car in the garage, and then go in through the inside of the house, and we don't touch the front door, or we leave that way as well. But in Feng Shui, the front door is the source of all energy and qi into your home, and we want to have it circulating and to make sure that that's welcoming. And what tends to happen in some homes is people don't use the front door ever, and they can tend to block it. Like they'll let clutter collect there. It's almost like it's not even considered, and it really should be a very highlighted space. And even like intentionally choose to use it, whether you open the front door and go get your mail that way, you are circulating energy and bringing vibrancy into your house. And so you're energizing your home, your family, and yourself that way. And that's one big thing that I see people do all the time. Wow. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot too. Now, when I was growing up, we grew up in an apartment in the city, and we'll go up the floors and we get in. So, and all of our friends live in very similar types of situations. So as I grew older and I met more friends and I, go through their houses, I always go through the front door, and if I don't go through the front, go through the back.
Yeah.
And I was always confused. I was like, why is the front door?
Right.
Like, this is where I'm supposed to enter. So it's very interesting that you mentioned that as something that a lot of people should kind of find a way to come back around to the front door and just make that a more functional area that people come in and out.
Absolutely. Just to, even just to welcome guests through the front door every once in a while is a great way to bring that energy into your home.
Yeah, and it looks so much better.
Reduce confusion of people who are like, where's the back door? Which one of the back doors should I be coming to?
Yeah, and I just find the front door to just aesthetically look so much better.
Yeah.
Like you got the lawn, you got the symmetry between the two sides, and it's like, why would you not walk through the front door? It's like a big welcoming space. I love that. Oh, so what's the second big mistake you see?
Second thing I would say is that there are energetic power spots in different rooms. So if you can find a way to use the energetic spot or use the energy to your advantage. So in other words, being intentional about where you set up your desk, being intentional about how you set up the headboard of your bed so that you are in an energetically supported position, and that the energy is like you're able to receive it instead of it like hitting you all the time, like in a negative way. So you can really relax your central nervous system and give yourself more focus when you're sitting at your desk, and you can allow yourself to sleep more deeply and more calmly by using those power positions. So typically we're looking at having a solid wall behind you and a good view of the room in front of you, and also a view of the entrance, so you can kind of see what's coming at you, and that just lets the support behind you lets your body relax. And it's very powerful. It's a very powerful shift. When you can make it, it will give you a bunch of energy back because your body's not fighting, trying to keep you, the hairs on the back of your neck don't have to stand up to make sure nobody's sneaking up on you.
Exactly. I think whenever I'm in a situation where I'm facing one way at the door, I'm like,
yes, you're always looking
like,
over your
is
shoulder.
someone going to come in? So you mentioned the word command position, which I've heard that word before because we consulted a Feng Shui person when we're building out the space, just so we can be a little bit more intentional about how we source the furniture and what we should do about it.
Right.
And he always talking about the command space. So what is that? What is that in the room?
Yeah, so it's actually the spot in the room that it's across from the door. So it's usually either across from the door or diagonal from the door. You would have ideally a solid wall behind you. And so you would have your back up against that or your head up against that if that's your headboard. And again, you can see the door, you can see the room, and you feel supported.
So would you say one of the rules is just don't have the door behind you?
Yes, yeah. Even if you can give yourself a peripheral view of the door, that will allow your body to relax a little bit, and it will give you some of your own energy back. So it's not as ideal, but there are ways that you can, set yourself up so that you're giving yourself the best possible situation energetically.
Love it. So I want to talk a little bit more about the bedroom because when it comes to healing, people need to rest, and if
Yeah.
they don't have good rest, many of the things that we do might not even matter because you're only getting like 2 hours of good rest,
Right.
right? So when we're in a situation in our room, we have a door. We want to make sure that we're not the door's not behind you.
Right.
Number one, for sure, we want to have like a view of the door. Now, I was designing a room with my wife, and she has minimal feng shui knowledge, but she heard it from her mom and her grandma and things like that. And one of the things she mentioned is you can't have a mirror directly in front of your bed.
Right.
Now, what do you think about that?
I agree with that. Mirrors are very activating energy. They're reflecting and magnifying whatever they are seeing. And so they can, if you're, stressed in your bed or worried, it will magnify that energy. It's very unsettling if you're like half awake, half asleep, and you stand up and kind of see your reflection in the mirror. So in general, we like to keep the bedroom as quiet and calm as possible, and the mirror actually counteracts that. And so I don't have a mirror in my bedroom. My daughters have mirrors, but they're positioned very strategically not to be reflecting where they're sleeping. It does really truly calm down the space. If you can't remove the mirror, you can always cover it overnight and then take it down the next day. So that any way that you can quiet the room to make it as restful and relaxing as possible is going to support that recovery process that you need to go through.
I love it. So we have our bed, and we were fighting over this because we want a mirror, and it was looking at the bed, so we had to shift the bed a couple inches away, so that way we're just not in line with the mirror.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
And another thing I heard about is like beams above you.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
what is the deal with beams being above you when you're sleeping?
So what happens is it just affects the way that the energy is flowing. So the energy is flowing over you, and it makes it dip down, and so it ends up being this compressing energy on you, which if you're just sitting somewhere or sleeping somewhere overnight one time, it's fine. But over time, again, day after day, having that energy compressed on you can start to affect your energy body and can start to create health challenges that you don't want to have to face. And so it's ideal not to be under a beam like that regularly. And there are some like feng shui cures that you could look at. It's kind of specific per space, but there are some ways that you can try to alleviate or lift that energy back up if you have to be in that situation.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So you can be in a situation where it's like, okay, there's nothing I can do. I have to be underneath this beam, right?
Yeah.
So what would someone, like what are some feng shui like techniques that you would implement to offset some of those negative things?
Yeah, so I mean, with a beam, I would say there are some things that you can attach to the beam which kind of soften the energy to it. Like in this particular situation, I don't know if in the video they can see that there's a beam above us, but the beam is black. And if there's a way that you can paint that to make it disappear, that will help alleviate the intensity of the energy that's pushing down on you. So it's almost like tricking the energy. You're diminishing its power in the room. That's how I would probably cure that situation.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so I know you work, you do workshops.
Yeah.
I know you also do in-home assessments. So you go to people's homes and you help them figure out strategies they can, make their place more energetically positive, I should say.
Right.
Right. Now, when should someone hire a feng shui expert such as yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like everybody can benefit from good feng shui in their home. So, I talk about feng shui all the time and try to encourage people to consider the energy of their home and how it's supporting them. But specifically, if you are facing challenges in life, whether that be, like I was stuck in my career and I could not, I felt like no matter what, there was no solution. I couldn't see the path out of that. So when you're feeling stuck, that's a sign that energy is stuck and not supporting you. If you were facing challenges with financial challenges or relationship challenges, that can be a symptom of the energy flow that's around you. And we can often alleviate those challenges before they get too severe. And if you're just facing a string of bad luck, Feng Shui is a practice that's thousands of years old. It's originated in China, and it's been used to change people's luck. So literally you can shift the energy, shift the way the energy is supporting you, boost your own energy in that way, and realign yourself with a different outcome. So there's a lot of potential with looking at how the energies are flowing around you and making sure that you're not swimming upstream against them, but actually using them to work with you to change your potential in life.
I got it. So there's many things, many aspects of use for Feng Shui.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, have you worked with like a developer, like for a space where it's like, hey, we're designing this home, and sometimes they design things that is just so like, what? Why are we doing this? Why is this hallway leading to this room, and it's this weird thing I got to do to maneuver? Like, do you work with?
I have not worked with a developer. I have worked with clients who were building homes. So being able to help them build from the ground up. Everything from looking at how the house is going to be positioned on the property to make sure that it's receiving the energy in the easiest way, and then looking at, you know, architectural features and making sure they make sense and that it doesn't block the flow. Even to simplify, you know, to the details of like, where are the plugs placed in the room, and does that make sense? Like, is that making sense with where you need them, or are you, you know, do you have to move the bed out of the way in order to plug in your lamp beside the bed? So in that design phase, there's so much that can be decided ahead of time that can make sure that the flow is good and supportive before you actually start building the foundation and the walls. And yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah, I think that would be such a fun project for you to just look at a home and say, this hallway, nope, we gotta take that one out. This kitchen, like I find, you know, we did like some small renovations at our home. We did the kitchen, for example, and it just dramatically changed everything. We didn't open anything up or anything, but just the lighting, the color, and just moving things maybe an inch this way.
It's so true.
It just made everything so much better.
Difference. Yeah.
I walk in and I just feel different. Going into the kitchen, which I go all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And so on a day-to-day basis, that's making you, you know, that's removing obstacles that you had before, and that alleviates challenges that you had. And so you have more energy, you feel more energized by your space, and that probably means that you walk in the door to come to work and you're more energized. That means your clients feel more energized because they've, you know, fed off of your energy. It makes a difference. It really does ripple out and make a difference. Just those simple little changes that are energizing rather than draining and depleting.
Let's talk a little bit about furniture, because furniture is big, right?
Yeah.
And I know you did comment about the roundness of our furniture here, which I'm like in awe, because I'm like, I didn't intentionally decide to pick circle furniture, but I literally picked all round furniture right here. So tell me about like what's the difference between like having like a rounded surface, like even like a table that's rounded versus like a sharp table, or even a table that's modular to have like an interesting shape to it.
Right.
Like how does that affect energy?
Yeah, so I mean, we're looking at, first of all of these, the furniture brings in a personality, an element to it. So round furniture is a metal element, square furniture is more ground, like foundational with the four corners, like the earth element. So you can look at the furniture that you're choosing in that aspect, and balance the space based on having a mix of round and square. In general, in Feng Shui, we like the rounded corners because then it's not sending sharp angles that you can bump into and hurt yourself on, or that's even sending energy in a pointed way at you. I have a client who has an office space, and we just corrected for the fact that when you open the door to walk into her office, the first thing you see is the pointed angle of her desk, almost sending her energy out of the space. And she was feeling not really drawn to work in her office, and we wanted to correct and cure for that. So the sharp angles can really send energy at you, and we want to, if you do have them, we want to make sure that they're positioned so that they're not pointed at you all the time.
That's very interesting that you mentioned that, because I feel like people who have trouble going into a space and feeling inspired, I think they would be the perfect person to hire you to come in and say, hey, maybe all you have to do is bring in some live plant elements over here and shift this around, and suddenly they go in and it's like, my God, I love working now. I mean, that in itself can change everything.
That typically happens. I mean, just a few simple changes, like adding a few different elements or moving things, just like you said, a couple of inches, can change the way the energy of the room feels and change the way it flows, and so that when you're in the space you feel more energized and activated, rather than like having harsh energies pointed at you and feeling tired and depleted at the end of the day. We can shift that with looking at what's going on in the room and making some simple adjustments.
Mm-hmm. No, I love it. Now, if someone were to hire you for their homes, like how can they reach you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm reachable by finding Kerri Miller Feng Shui. So that's my website, my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's where I am on all of the platforms. And I love to, just connect with people. If people are interested in learning about Feng Shui, I offer a lot of workshops. I also am available to just chat, hear about what's going on in your life, in your home, what's working, what's not working, and then just having a conversation, a no pressure conversation about how I can support you with making positive changes.
Yeah. How does the workshop work? Because I think it'd be really cool to have you in for a workshop with our clients.
Yeah, I would love to do that. It works. I mean, I have people sign up. We come up with a topic, and invite people in. And usually, my workshops are very interactive and casual, on a topic that people are inspired and interested in. I usually have people tell me after a workshop that they've learned a lot, they're thinking about their space in a different way, and I get a lot of emails afterwards saying, I made that one change and it feels so much better. So like people are inspired to take what they learn and go home and make, simple shifts in their space that do make a difference and that they can tell has made a change for them.
I love it. Well, it's been awesome talking to you, and I want to leave the audience with just one thing. What is one thing you want everyone to know about Feng Shui?
Yeah, so I would say, your home is influencing you. It's influencing your mood, your energy level, your health, your potential for success and love and prosperity. And you can tap into the energy of your environment and harness it and direct it to shift your outcomes in all of those parts of your life. And so I would love everybody to be doing that so they're all living better, more fulfilling lives.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I love this. Thank